Welcome into the PHNX show. We got a post game up there, but
damn, that's hey, welcome in, everybody.
Hey,
Let's turn up the energy to 100. Let's go.
I looked at the logo and I saw post game. I was like, wait, we didn't just watch a game.
Shit, it does say post game.
I got totally thrown off. It is the PHNX Suns podcast. I am Espo. He is Saul Bookman. And no, we did not start late because Lindsay's on vacation. We started late because the college guys were in the set before us. And you know how it goes when college guys are hanging around. So,
yeah, they're always taking up all our time.
You got to clean up after them. It's just a whole thing. So we are here now and plenty to talk about. Game 2 in the books last night as the Phoenix Suns get the big win thanks to Devin Booker in that second half. And I want to take, like we did the other day with Game 1, take a step back. We're now at, a dozen or so hours. My math is off, but we're removed from it enough that we can look back.
Espo brought his A game today.
You want to host this thing, Bookman?
15 hours ago.
Yeah, I told you, my math ain't great, all right? So we 15 hours ago,
yes.
we were removed from that now, and we can look back without the emotion and having looked at some of the game again. How big for you was the Scot Foster factor in overcoming that now? Is that no longer a mental hurdle? Because it seemed like it took on a life of its own, not just with us, but even players were talking about it.
I mean, the Scot Foster thing to me was just like, in those games, yeah, there was a couple calls here and there, but I don't know how much of a factor he really played in some of those games. I just think it was just kind of happenstance that he happened to be the referee, and then you look at the record over and over again. So it did have a life of its own. I'm glad it's over because I hate talking about it. I hate talking about the referees. Period. They can really cost you games, yes, but to think that like last night, like. I thought the game was pretty well officiated for the most part, except for a couple things on DA. That was about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And what made me laugh was there was that moment in the game where Chris Paul actually did the prayer hands and was like, "Please give me the call, Scot Foster." I mean, he obviously is more than aware of what was going on, and sure, I think he plays into it more as a theatrical thing. But I'm glad it's over as well. And, if there is an NBA script, the Suns kind of gave the finger to it last night. If that's what the Scot Foster thing was, it's a nice redemption arc now. But let's take a look at some of the stuff in the first quarter. I know there's a few things that you wanted to talk about in terms of the defense, having rewatched part of this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, first quarter struggles are real right now for this team. They've come out in back-to-back games and have not started strong. KD came out a lot more assertive, but defensively, I was sitting there and I thought that was my phone. Is that my phone or yours?
No, it's yours.
Okay. It is mine?
No, it's mine.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just talk.
I thought that defensively, the whole team was not very good. There was a situation last night where Kawhi had the ball at the top of the key. He's being guarded by Torrey Craig at first, and DA is guarding Zubac, and Booker is guarding Westbrook. And through this whole play series, basically a pick and roll comes about, and Kawhi doesn't really even use the pick very much. He just kind of zigzags and comes back to the strong side, and Zubac rolls. And when he rolls, both Torrey Craig and Devin Booker go with Zubac into the paint, leaving DA all by himself basically at the elbow to either guard Kawhi at the mid-range or Russell Westbrook at the 3. And Kawhi dumped it off to Russell Westbrook. He hit a 3, which is the right play for DA. Like, I would happily give up a 3-pointer from Russell Westbrook than an uncontested jumper for Kawhi because he was automatic. So those are, that's an example of a situation. There was another situation where KD was just completely lost on defense, did not account for his man at all. Oh, and that man just happened to be Kawhi Leonard, who was wide open on the wing. KD closes out on him, Kawhi gives him a pump fake and then penetrates, brings in 3 guys. And my biggest issue with this was that KD was not only did he go for the pump fake, but he also didn't recover at all. He didn't go to find the next guy that you're supposed to cover when you're lost or when you're out of position, right? It's help and then recover. Like, you have to do that. That's like basic basketball. Instead, KD just kind of stood around, and because of that, Kawhi was able to penetrate, draw in 3 defenders, and kick open to a wide open Terrence Mann on the corner who hit a 3. Like, there's small things throughout the game, especially in that first quarter, where the Suns are just not. They're not on a high level right now in terms of their defensive communication and chemistry, but it did improve as the game went on, and it's going to have to, because if it doesn't, it's going to be a 7-game series for sure.
Well, I mean, it improved in game 1 as well, but it feels like the first quarter in particular, the defense, the communication, it just isn't there. And I think that could be the Achilles heel moving forward if they don't tighten that up, because they keep going down in the first quarter and spotting this team points, a team that gets a better free throw percentage than you, gets to the line more. It makes it difficult to fight back, and you need big monumental swings from Devin Booker or KD in that first game with 17 in that second quarter just to get you back in it. And that's not a recipe for success for this team.
No, not at all. There's a couple other things that kind of some things that you could say are the Suns are just this good, or it could be a cause for concern. I always listen to 98.7 when I'm driving in my hour trek to work every morning. And Kellen was talking about just the fact that, you can feel really good about where they're at, or you can be a little apprehensive about where they're at in terms of their mid-range execution. The Suns shot a phenomenal percentage from the mid-range. I think it was close to damn near 70, if not 70% from mid-range, right? But there's 2 outliers that are starting to concern me if I'm the Suns. First of all, shots at the rim. The Clippers have doubled up the Suns with shots at the rim, and they've doubled up the Suns on uncontested 3-point shots. And I think both of them are around like 36 to 18 or something around there, right? So your 2 premier spots on the floor where teams try to attack, like the Clippers are getting the better of the Suns in that regard. But in game 1, the Suns didn't shoot as high a percentage from the mid-range as they did in game 2. And that's basically what tells you who won the game. The Suns were phenomenal from the mid-range last night. And that's going to have to continue. But is that something that can continue all the way to a possible championship? I mean, you would be talking about a record performance throughout a playoff series from the mid-range if that was the case, if the Suns are hoping to get there. And I just don't know if that's really that reliable to shoot that high of a percentage, and that's why Game 3 is really intriguing to me.
But if you look at it, this team was billed as a historically great mid-range shooting team. So I think they were built on the theory that they could do that. Game 1 was the outlier. They didn't shoot well from the mid-range, and it cost them. But you talk about getting doubled up at the rim, the opponent having more threes than the Suns. That's the way this team has played all season long. So I think they're expecting to be able to shoot at a historically great level from mid-range, and think that will carry them to a championship. It's great in theory, and when it's going really well like it did last night, it's a thing of beauty. But when it doesn't go well, like the night, like game 1, it can get ugly, and it can be ugly for a significant period of time.
And going back to the former point, it's cool if that's what you're going to predicate your offense on, and that's what you want to try to excel at. I'm fine with that, but you can't have the lapses on defense, because I will tell you, if they find themselves in the same position playing against the Denver Nuggets, who shoot a very high clip from 3-point range, and can beat you down low to a certain degree. I mean, it's Jokic. That's where you can find yourself in a lot of trouble, and you can find yourself down by 25 all of a sudden, as opposed. And the Suns were on pace to do that last night. They were about to get blown out in the second quarter if it weren't for DA really kind of stalling things a little bit and waiting to give Devin Booker and KD an opportunity to kind of rebound. And then obviously Devin Booker took control towards the end of that second quarter and into the third and fourth, and everybody else contributed, obviously. So that was great. But is that something that you really want to rely on as you move forward? No, you want to play better defense from the start, be a lot more sound fundamentally defensive-wise, and more than anything, you got to play with your head on a swivel. And I felt like they did that more in the second half than they did in the first, where when they did get beat, they recovered. The rotations have to be crisp. You got to know, okay, my guy just beat me to the hole. Well, he just picked him up. That's a wide open guy. I'm going to automatically defer to him, and then everybody else follows suit. And so I had trickle down effect around the perimeter. So things, again, just like in game one, they can improve on, and I expect them to.
It looks like a lack of communication to me at times. Like that play you talked about where Kawhi kind of shimmied, and you had two guys going with Zubac and DA stuck in no man's land trying to guard Kawhi and Russell Westbrook. That seems like a communication thing to me. And there was no recovery either. That was the crazy thing. They both stayed on Zubac and just hoped DA could guard two guys at once.
The communication thing, a 1,000,000%, because what you could see there is that even though Kawhi didn't really use the screen, Torrey wasn't sure if he should stay on Kawhi or if he should switch, because they do like to switch, if he should switch to Zubac, which means nobody said switch or I got him or I'm up or something, right? They just didn't say anything. And you could even see DA in those moments. If you just watch his feet, he was confused. He was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now because it's kind of chaotic. And then Zubac leaves and he's like, fuck, I got two guys right here. So, like I said, these are things that are easily fixable. The communication will improve, I hope.
Well, Captain says McHale was a big part of the defense. This is expected with new players, and I don't disagree. This is a byproduct of having now played 10 games with KD. It's also a byproduct of switching your starting lineup and putting Torrey Craig out there with these guys instead of Josh Okogie, because it's another factor of he hasn't played with the other four as a starter, so that communication isn't as strong. And I understand that it's expected, it's part of this, but the problem is you have very little margin for error right now. We all knew this was going to be one of the biggest things, was how do you come together? How do you figure it out? And it feels like the Suns are starting games with that kind of confusion and figuring out throughout the game. I need to see that carried over into game 3, where you play defense like you did in the second half and you play your offense that way too. I need a complete game. And we've seen basically 4 quarters out of 8 where they played well and the other 4 they looked lost.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think the other thing I would take away, there's been a lot of talk about just the minutes. Like, KD and Devin Booker specifically played a lot of minutes. And I forgot what his name is, but I saw a clip on YouTube, and the guy made a really good point. He talked about how there's a difference between logging 45 minutes like a LeBron did for the Cavs back in the day, where he's basically the only guy on that team and he's having to carry the entire load, and spreading that pressure and that weight amongst 3 or 4 other guys, like KD does with Devin Booker, and Devin Booker with CP3 and then DA. Like, they can spread that weight, and so that not every 45-minute load is the same. And so I thought that was a great point, because if you look at KD in game 1, there was a lot of times on offense where he was just standing in the corner, not really moving. I wouldn't call that active minutes, right? That's kind of passive. And then last night there was a couple times. Now, Devin Booker last night, I will say, he was pretty active the entire time he was on the floor. He was going balls to the wall from the jump. And so you are concerned about that to a degree, but I'm not as concerned about that after thinking about that kind of rationalization and thinking, yeah, you know what, like, obviously I'm not a NBA athlete, but even playing basketball, that's why guys can play 3 or 4 hours at the park, because sometimes they just walk up and down the court and they can save themselves.
To be fair, you really shouldn't count the first 12 minutes of either of these games as putting forth your best effort either for this
it's
team.
Mentally exhausting.
For us, yeah, it is very mentally exhausting. You know what isn't, and what I'm excited for? Tomorrow night, BetMGM
Yes, let's
Sportsbook
go.
out at State Farm Stadium. We're going to be out there for the live watch party for Game 3. We're going to be out there starting at 6 p.m. It's presented by Neutral, our favorite vodka seltzer, and you're going to be able to join us out there for food and drink specials, giveaways. We're going to be out there live doing pre and post, and I think we might even do a watch along, because why the hell not? We're going to be out there, the cameras are there, and we're going to be watching the game. So we're going to have a lot of fun, and we hope you'll go out there and join us too. And while you're out there, highly recommend signing up for that BetMGM Sportsbook app, because there is plenty to do there as well. If you use that promo code PHNX, you're going to get a lot of different offers. If you live other places, you may not get this specific one, but if you're in AZ, you're going to get up to $100 in bonus bets on your first wager with BetMGM. And here's how it works. You're going to download that app, sign up using the bonus code PHNX, place a pregame moneyline wager in the amount of at least $10 on any market at standard price odds, and you are going to receive $100 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Just make sure to use that bonus code PHNX when you sign up. Don't forget, again, join us out there tomorrow night. The Phoenix Suns watch party presented by Neutral. Food and drink special, $6 Rally the Valley margaritas, and plenty more going on. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane share the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Listen, if you can't go out there to hang out with us like Amelia is, like Aussie Suns fan is going to be out there as well, coming all the way over from Australia. Yeah, it's pretty dope. If you can't do that and you just stuck at the house, you might as well get a great streaming service, and one of those is Fubo TV. Check them out. You can watch all your Suns games, all your Diamondbacks games, Coyotes games, all the good stuff on Fubo TV. All you have to do is download that app and then sign up, and it's that simple. And you can save 15% off if you use. It's not a promo code.
No, just go to
just sign up.
FuboTV.com/PHNX.
There you go.
You can get that 15% off.
I thought there was a promo code.
It's that easy. You can even use the QR code on,
Look at that.
our screen.
We'll even pause for a little bit so you can just take a screenshot. There it is. It's pretty dope. Okay.
And go.
So, it's an awesome streaming service. And what I love about it is when you log on, you first initially set it up. You know, the wife likes to watch HGTV and all this other stuff. I like to watch sports. You can set up your own individual profiles and just tag all the favorite channels that you want to watch. So that way you don't have to thumb through all the bullshit. So it's pretty dope for me. It's pretty dope for her. Everybody's happy.
Yeah,
See how that goes?
It all says, screw your living in a tiny house show or whatever the heck is going on there.
140 channels,
It's
sports,
beautiful.
and the whole shebang. Like, get yours today.
And a cloud DVR up to 1,000 hours of it. So
Yeah, pretty dope.
highly recommend it. Easy. Justin Ishbia had to postpone, but he will be joining us. Hopefully later in the week, we'll be talking with the partial owner of the Phoenix Suns. I want to talk about Chris Paul's injury a little bit here. And we can go with the Crispy Haynes tweet that we saw last night. But Chris Paul hurt his hand late in the game, had to have an x-ray on his right hand, and the results came back clean. But if there's any swelling, we saw with John Morant, there's nothing wrong structurally with his hand, but he's still going to wind up, being out right now in all likelihood because of the swelling that's going on in his hand. So that's always a concern when this happens. Are you concerned about Chris Paul? Because right now with campaign out, you have no true backup point guard.
No, I'm not concerned about Chris Paul. Chris Paul is good enough to manipulate every situation that he's in and be able to survive. And because he has Kevin Durant now instead of just only Devin Booker, I think he's going to be fine. Yeah, you would love to have him at full health, but we knew that wasn't going to happen. This is what happens every fucking playoff series. Like, if you weren't prepared for this as a player, then you just haven't been watching Chris Paul play. So I'm not concerned at all. And in fact, based off of what Chris Paul said last night, it actually ends up being a little bit of a blessing anyway, because to a man, KD and Book and CP3 all said that they were able to get into their offense much faster. It felt better. The flow was smoother when Chris Paul wasn't bringing the ball up the court. And that's just a fact.
Yeah, look, they're easy ass is he out. We don't know yet. We have not gotten an update on what it's like today, if they're swelling, anything else. I haven't heard. Practice is going on now. If we get anything from Gerald, who's out there in LA with the team, before the end of the show, we will pass it along as well. I'm not overly concerned because in part, Chris Paul has dealt with hand issues for his entire career. He's had multiple hand injuries. And Shane, if we can pull this up, I found an article from back in 2017 that the New York Times did about just how bad Chris Paul's hands are in general, in terms of how they look. Chris Paul said, I have some damn ugly hands in this article because of all the injuries he has. And we've got a close-up picture of his hand that looks all jacked up. And the headline was, Chris Paul's fast hands and gruesome fingers. So Chris knows a thing or two about hurting his hand, but still being able to succeed and having one ugly-ass hand and fingers himself.
I mean, he doesn't have to worry about putting rings on, so it's okay.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Really?
Sorry.
Really?
Sorry.
You're taking...
Yet. Sorry.
My
listen.
God.
Yeah, he has ugly hands, but I trust me, there are a lot of NBA players that have some ugly ass hands too. Have you ever seen Michael Jordan's finger? It's like broken off to the side. It's like, it's all jacked up. Like, he's been used to it. He's fine.
Well, jamming fingers too is like, I mean, that's just a byproduct of playing basketball. Anybody that's done it has jammed them or broken them at times and everything. I'm not overly concerned. My only concern is if he isn't effective, you're going to have to turn to point book. You're going to have KD take over, because even if Campaign's back for game 3, you're not going to put all the pressure on him just coming back from injury as well. The chat just destroying you for that joke.
Deservedly
PHX
so.
Scotty says, why the self-burn? Amelia says, geez. Hello says, boo, Saul. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was funny if I weren't a Suns fan or a
He
Chris
doesn't
Paul
have any
fan
rings right now. It's okay.
I'm sure he has a wedding ring, Saul, and that was I mean, that was his right hand, so we didn't see it.
It's probably rubber like mine, so you're okay.
Smart. When you look at the point guard situation, we talked about Landry Shamet last night, and he's taking a lot of the minutes, but he started 24. The first game was at 13 last night. Do we see that contract again in game 3? Are you thinking that now that they got more comfortable getting in the offense with Book, who honestly looked spectacular handling the rock last night, do you think those Shamet minutes start to dissipate?
Well, no, not if Chris Paul can't play. Then you have to play. You're going to end up playing Landry Shamet for sure. You probably are going to put in maybe Josh Okogie a few more minutes and Terrence Ross, not necessarily at the point guard position. But again, like I am so over the point guard talk in general. Like, yeah, when you have a great one, sure, like you want him to run the show. But I do think that position right now, for what this team is, and more importantly, what Chris Paul is, I think it's way overblown about the point guard position, because we've seen this series so far. Like, many different guys have initiated the offense, and that's all you're looking for. Chris Paul has not been the one bringing the ball up every single time. He just doesn't do that anymore because he can't. Like, he legitimately can't, because he'll wear down too fast. So Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, it doesn't matter to me. We've even seen Josh Okogie bring the ball up, Landry Shamet, Campaign. Like, it doesn't matter. They're going to be fine. I think the point guard position for the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Suns fans is is so prevalent because we've always had great point guards in the past. And that's what we've known. That's what we were groomed up to recognize and identify with. And the fact that we don't, once we veer off that path, when we veered off the path after Steve Nash, it did not look pretty at all. Like, it was ugly. And so everybody was clamoring for that. And it helps, but I don't think for the way this team is constructed that they necessarily need a great point guard to really get things done.
Well, they had that 5-year stretch where they're playing the equivalent of G League guys, most of which are not in the league even anymore. So I understand the fixation on that position. And you're right, having so many great point guards from really word one with, Gail Goodrich even, who was a Hall of Famer, that was here to at the beginning of the franchise through everybody else that they had, Paul Westphal and
Kevin
KJ
Johnson,
and
Jason Kidd.
Yeah,
I mean, like, the list goes on and on and on. They've had some legendary guards.
Yeah. And so when you look at that, but I'd argue last night, Devin Booker was point guard for most of that game when Chris Paul was off ball, and it worked fine in that way. I think we also got very hesitant about the idea of point book, right? Because when it started, it was because Booker was the only guy with any talent. And this goes back to your point of it's not hard minutes like they were before, right? This is Devin Booker when he has to play point now is passing to Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
He's going to CP3 in the corner. He's running he can run pick and roll with DA if necessary. This isn't the same point book that we saw in the past. This is sustainable. This is something that you can do for different periods of time. So I hope those Shamet minutes dissipate. I hope we see more Terrence Ross. I hope we see more TJ Warren. I hope we see more Josh Okogie, because this bench unit needs guys like that can score. And when Campaign comes back, you ease him back into that lineup with that second unit, give him the rotation minutes, and let Shamet ride off into the sunset at that point. That's what I'm hoping to see out of this. Now, obviously, I don't want to see Chris Paul out or limited in any way, because that does hurt the Suns team. And he was starting to hit those mid-range shots yesterday, which we talked about earlier, is going to be so important to the success of this team throughout the rest of the playoffs.
I mean, we've seen so many times in NBA history that you don't necessarily need to have a great point guard to be able to win a championship. Like, we've seen the Warriors do it because they have two of the greatest guards of all time shooting wise. But they also had Kevin Durant when they won when they won two of those championships. But we've seen, the Lakers, when they had Kobe and Shaq, like, they had two dominant players. That's what you need. You need dominant players because they had freaking Derek Fisher, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a tremendous point guard, but he was efficient and he knew his role. And that's what you need. You need good, solid role players to surround your superstars. And so far, if you looked at the last night's game, that's exactly what the Suns have. Torrey Craig played phenomenal last night. He's played phenomenal in this series so far through 2 games because he understands his role and what he needs to do. And it's fantastic.
Who'd those Bulls, and I get you had Michael Jordan, but Kevin Durant is one of the best in the game right now. Those Bulls teams didn't really have the greatest of point guards. B.J. Armstrong, why am I blanking on the guy who in the second?
Steve Kerr?
No, he wasn't the point. It was
Ron Harper?
Ron Harper, thank you. I wanted to say Ron Artest, and I knew that was way wrong. So I don't think you necessarily have to have an all-time great, but you need a guy that's able to take care of something.
Easy says, Steph is the point guard, Saul. What the fuck? What the fuck, dude? No. Like, he's a point guard, but he's not a traditional point guard by any stretch of the imagination. He's one of the greatest shooters of all time. And half the time that they run all their sets, he's not even the one bringing the ball up. So it's not the same. Like, it's more of a hybrid position for him and for what the Warriors do. And that's, I think the Suns can take a little bit of that and really excel throughout this series. Again, my biggest takeaway from last night and really this series so far is the Suns have got to do a better job defensively, especially in the first quarter, and they've got to be able to find a way to get to the rim a little bit more and expose the Clippers for what they are, which is frauds. Frauds.
I'm not going to go that far as to say that yet, but since Saul's throwing some shade, It's time to put on the Shady Rays.
Oh,
That's right.
all
That's a
right.
lot of shade Saul's throwing, but our friends at Shady Rays have got you covered this summer. They've got the best shades around, and you can get 50% off when you buy 2 pairs or more. I've got this great pair that look fantastic when I'm rocking the sexy sax on the postgame show, and they'll be making a lot more appearances over the next few weeks. But what I really love is that they have a guarantee. You lose it, you break it, doesn't matter. They're going to take care of you. And, my wife Tracy's in the chat. I've never met a human being that loses more sunglasses than my wife. So I'm going to buy her a couple pairs from Shady Rays and know that I'm taken care of, that money is well invested because they'll take care of me if they're lost. And they take care of all their customers. It's why they have so many amazing 5-star reviews. So if you don't love your Shady Rays, if they get broken, you can exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Exclusively to our listeners and viewers, Shady Rays is going to give out that best deal of the season that I mentioned. Go to shadyrays.com. Use that code PHNX for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. It's that easy. And 250,000 people would love Illegal Pete's as well. They've got the best Mexican food in the game. I know our Sun Devil guys were out there this past weekend, had a great time out there, had some great queso, some great food. And if you're hosting a watch party or you got a big event coming up, they've got an unbelievable burrito box that you can give for the whole crew. And you know what? If you're going to go out there to their Tempe location, they've got the strongest margaritas in Arizona. Pound for pound, the best and strongest margaritas you're going to find out there. You can take advantage of that. You can enjoy their full menu of bowls, tacos, salads, burritos, nachos, and they have the beer and piping hot queso. You want to be out there. Illegal Pete's delicious ingredients and customizable options are a perfect way to treat your guests to a culinary adventure they'll never forget. To book your catering order, head to catering.illegalpete's.com today. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. Thanks, Max, for that great line there at the end. Game 3 coming up tomorrow night, as we talked about. We've got the watch party, but Saul, what are your keys for the Suns to stay on the winning track tomorrow night?
First, play better defense, especially in the first quarter. I mean, again, I'm just going to repeat what I just said earlier. Is it's like the biggest thing is they got to shore up the defensive side of the ball. Far too many wide open threes for my liking, especially with Eric Gordon. For whatever reason, he seems to find himself about 4 or 5 wide open threes a game. That's got to stop. And then DA had a good game offensively in the second quarter. After that, kind of quieted down. He got into foul trouble, so that was a significant reason why too. But you need to play aggressive. I do want to talk about DA for a second, right? So one of the things that I feel like a lot of people are just refusing to just accept, and I feel like at this point you need to just accept it. Like he's been here for 4 years, 5 years, and he is what he is, and he's a good player. He's not a great player. He's not a horrible player. He's a good player. He's going to give you some nights where he's going to give you 30 and 15. And then he's going to give you some nights where he's going to give you 8 and 2. And yeah, he's a max player. And he's a max player because he signed a contract with somebody else and the Suns had no choice but to match it because what were their other options? They could have traded for Miles Turner, I suppose, or I'm sure that they've talked about those kind of scenarios, but it is what it is. And at this point, he is what he is. He's a good player. That's it. And I know we have this expectation of the number 1 draft pick and the max contract, and he should be doing this and he should be doing that. Help yourselves out and just take that out of your brain because it's not going to matter to him. It's not going to matter to you. It's not going to matter to anything. He's going to be who he is, and what he is a good player. I think that if he plays aggressively and he plays strong, he can make a significant impact. Do I think he's going to be a great player someday? I don't know. I have no idea. I can't even say it. Yeah, bigs develop at a slower rate, but he is what he is. He hasn't really shown yet that he can take that next jump or that next step. And just when we think we're about to get it, something happens, like an injury, twists an ankle, or whatever. So he's a good player. He's a 15-10 guy right now, 18-10 guy, and that's what it is. And if he can get just a little bit better, maybe 22 and 12, then that little difference can make such a big impact. And the biggest thing for him right now is defensively, he's got to be the anchor. He's got to be on everybody's ass and make sure everybody's accounted for. That's the one side of this that he does have full control of, and he could do a much better job, especially at the rim and rim protecting. So I'm not even going to use him as a key point of things that need to change, because I'm kind of tired of talking about DA being the X factor, because he's just a good player.
Look, I'm at the point where I couldn't care less what your expectations were, what you're hoping he would have been, how much money he's getting paid. Right now, the fact is he's the center that the Suns have, and they need him to do what he does right now. And that's got to be good enough, because he's not going to change into an otherworldly player in the next 2 months when the Suns are trying to win a championship. You got to pencil him in for 13 to 18 points, 8 to 15 rebounds, and accept that that's what you're going to get from him. That's the production you're going to get. And how do you fill in the rest? Because in a perfect world, would he be otherworldly and Hakeem 2.0 or David Robinson 2.0? Yeah, but that's not what he is right now, and it's not what he likely will be. So the Suns have got to keep moving on. For me, the biggest thing is twofold, and we've talked about it a lot. Offensive rebounding. In this series, the Clippers are out rebounding the Suns on the offensive glass 27-13. That gap has to close, because you can't give up extra possessions, especially to a team that's going to shoot more threes than you, because that makes the math much harder to math for you in your favor. That's why the Suns could shoot 58% and the Clippers could shoot sub 50%. And still be in the game, because three's worth more than two. And when you give up more opportunities to your opponent, they're going to be able to convert more often. That's problematic. And the other thing to me is the free throw battle. The Suns have had 47 free throws. They made 36 of them. The Clippers have had 60 free throws. They made 51 of them. First off, you got to make a better clip of it. Mm-hmm. You can't miss 11 free points that you're going to get in games. But more importantly, you have to find a way to be more aggressive. That's where these Josh Okogie minutes, I think you're missing and could come into play. He was getting to that free throw line more than most guys, was unafraid to drive to the rim and get that contact and get to the line. And without that, you're seeing them struggle yet again compared to their opponent. And the Clippers aren't going to stop getting to the line. A lot of their team is predicated on that. They're big, they're physical, and they go to the rim. They're the typical analytical team. Shoot the threes, go to the rim. That's what the Clippers do so well. So the Clippers aren't going to get there less. You're going to have to figure out how to get there more. These are two of the big factors to me as to why these games are close, even when the Suns' offense starts getting going. It keeps the Clippers in there. If you can mitigate that even slightly, I think you've got an even bigger advantage.
I totally agree. The boards has always been an issue, but that's been an issue for this team basically for the last 3 seasons. It's not something new. No. It's something that they don't have in their DNA to be able to do at a high clip, just like attacking the rim. Again, you shoot a high percentage, an insanely high percentage from the mid-range. Why? Because you don't force contact at the rim. You pull up for your jumpers, your mid-range. That's what your game is. KD is a little bit unique because of how long and lengthy he is. When he does drive and he gets hit and he's like 100 pounds, you're going to see that contact. So it's a little easier to call those fouls. Devin Booker's a little bit more stout. When he gets hit or bumped, it's not as noticeable or it's not as egregious. So the refs let it go, and then he gets frustrated and those things. So I think I have no concerns about whether I think the Suns can get past this round. I really don't. But they are in for a battle. This is a good team. What I will say is this. You know what the Clippers are right now. Like the Clippers are they're 105 points a game. Like they're right there. They're going to give you exactly what you've seen in these last 2 games. You have to play better than them because they're not going to really tail off. Yeah. And if you play worse, you're going to lose. I know it sounds stupid and sounds kind of basic, but it is true. Like they've got a threshold that you got to beat every single game, and you got to play well to do it. And the Suns know that. And so I think they're going to come out pretty strong tomorrow.
Well, I think that's a key too. You got to start strong. Don't dig yourself a hole in this game in game 3 because you're on the road, which makes it more difficult to fight back if you get in a hole. You're against you're against a crowd that's going to be pulling for the Clippers. Obviously, usually refs give the home team a little bit more beneficial calls in a lot of ways. So you're going to be up against that. You've got to come out and play well in quarter number 1, lock down the defense and pay attention on the offensive side.
We do have an update from practice. Not that campaign is back or anything like that, but Gerald is live from the Staples Center, and there is this clip of campaign taking some shots and getting some warm-ups in. He's moving around, looks pretty good. Doesn't look like the lift is there. I don't know. Maybe that's a back thing or not. I'm not sure. This is completely speculation, but it is good to see that he's getting some shots in there. He's getting some workout in. And Gerald on the scene live from the Crypto Center. It looked like
CP3 was out there too. So we'll get an update in here if we can from Gerald. Let's take a look at the super chat. I know we had a super chat from earlier, Libertarian Sasquatch. Still my favorite name in the Girthlings chat. 499 says the Landry minutes are still so little confusing to me. Kawhi was hunting him. I mean, I think that's fair. We talk about the defense that Landry can bring compared to the other guys, but they still went at him. It's not like he's a defensive stopper. He was just better than Terrence Ross was at times at the tail end of the year.
Well, yeah, better, but also gets a lot more opportunity. And, I know that Gerald and I debated that last night about, opportunity versus production. And I'm sorry, like I'm still gonna defend what I said last night. When you're only in there for a minute, I mean, think about it. Anybody that's played sports, and you've been on the bench, like when you finally get in there, the pressure of having to play perfect sucks. Because there is no leeway. Like you can't just miss a shot. Otherwise, you're afraid that your coach is going to yank you. And I feel like these last couple of games, T.J. Warren, Terrence Ross, the minute they made a small mistake, Damian Lee,
they combined for 5 minutes last night.
Yeah, they got yanked so fast, and so it's hard to get into a flow and really get into a rhythm. And listen, if guys are struggling, your core 4, right? Your core 4 plus Torrey Craig or even Josh Okogie, if you want to throw him in there. If those guys are struggling defensively in the first quarter, why do you not consider that kind of concession to a certain degree with some of these role players? You know what I mean? Like you're giving these guys 45 minutes a game. They're superstars. KD and Book, I get it. They're phenomenal. Like you don't want to take them out. Cool. But you're going to need some type of production from T.J. Warren and Terrence Ross specifically, because those are your 2 best scorers off the bench, and they're not getting any run right now. So I don't know if you're really playing the long game, and really the consistency. And that's the other thing about Monty's rotations right now that really fucking irritates me is that they're so inconsistent and they're so sporadic that as a player, you have no idea when your number is going to get called. It could be 2 minutes into the second quarter. It could be the last 2 minutes of the game. It could be at the 6-minute mark or the third quarter. Like there's no rhythm or consistency to this. Players like to know, like, okay, at about the 6-minute mark of the first quarter, I know he's going to sub for this person or this person, so I'm going to be ready to go. And my internal clock is ready. But that never happens that hasn't happened since Terrence Ross and T.J. Warren have been on this team. That has never happened for those 2 gentlemen at all. They have never gotten consistent substitution patterns. They've never gotten consistent minutes. It's been wildly sporadic from game to game. You don't know what to expect. The same thing could be said about Busy and Jock. And that's the thing that just irritates the shit out of me is like, you got to provide some type of rhythm for these players. Popovich is one of the best ones of all time to do that. His rotations were pretty consistent. And then in the second half, he modified them based on the feel that he was getting from those players. But in the first half, it was like, all right, let's get these guys into a good flow. Let's get them some minutes on the court and get them some juice and see what they got. Because hell, you could have just had an all-time heater and Terrence Ross on the bench, and you never know it because you only played him for a minute or you didn't play him at all. Like, give these guys some run.
Well, people are doing.
And that's my TED Talk.
Cole saying Monty's going to go with a 15-man rotation for Game 3. Look, I get you got to shorten the rotation, right? But the thing to me is one of these guys, Terrence Ross or TJ Warren, is going to have to be effective scoring on the bench for you, not only in this series, but if you move on in subsequent series. You're going to need that. Your bench is anemic right now, and Terrence Ross can play really well. I know somebody else, one of the Girthlings said, Terrence Ross is a pigeon on defense when he's out there. You got to find out how to play team defense and bail him out. Because what he can do offensively can turn the tide in a game where you can cover some of those defensive things and set him up for success in those ways. So I think you got to find a way with one of those two guys to get your bench, basically the defibrillator paddles. One of those guys has to jumpstart the heart of your bench and the scoring of your bench, because it doesn't look like Torrey Craig's going to go back to the bench and Josh Okogie back to the starting lineup. So you're going to have to figure out something that changes what's going on with this bench right now.
Yeah, for sure. Again, Monty has his ways. I don't necessarily agree with them all the time, but this is what we have. So I guess I just got to shut up and color.
No, you know what? You can shut up and enjoy some comfortable seats from our friends at More Furniture. They gave us all the furniture here in the building. Some of my favorite seats that I've ever sat in are in our watch area. Those recliners, black leather recliners with the cup holders, the lights, the charging ports. It is a lazy man's dream, and as you all know, I'm a lazy man. So I love those seats, and these chairs are always comfortable. So you should check out More Furniture today if you're looking for anything for your home. Go to morefurniture.com and make sure you get that white glove delivery service. We got it here at the office. They took all the trash away. They put everything together. Saul didn't have to worry about me trying to put together any furniture that was inevitably going to, break because I put it together. They took care of everything. So get that white glove service as well. You can save big on the best furniture in the Valley. Head to morefurniture.com. And then if you're looking for something to drink in those nice recliners that you just got in your home, fill that cup holder with some Four Peaks beer. Our friends over at Four Peaks are going to be hosting our NFL draft party next Thursday, the 27th at 2 p.m. Head out to their 8th Street pub. Our boys Johnny and Bo are going to be out there giving you all the insight about what you need to know when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals and this draft. And it could be a busy day for them. Multiple trades, potentially D-Hop going somewhere. Who knows? Buda Baker could get moved. You're going to want to be out there with the guys.
Yeah, over almost 100 RSVPs for that right now. So you should get there early for sure.
Yeah, make sure to hit the link in the show notes, because if you do and you're RSVP and you show up, you're going to get $3 Redbird Lager pints, $5 Redbird Lager pitchers, and our usual $3 Kilt Lifter and Wowee pints. Again, April 27th, Four Peaks at 2 p.m., the 8th Street Pub. Must be 21 years or older to enjoy responsibly. Got a few more super chats. Trevor Begay, 199 says, Monty needs to trust Ross and Dame Lee, play them more. They got to find something from the bench, and both of those guys have the ability to hit and hit often. Damian Lee, if he could refine his three-point stroke from earlier in the year, would be a great option. We just haven't seen it in a while. I think Terrence Ross is the more likely.
Yeah, Damian Lee, for whatever reason, has found himself completely outside of the rotation. He had a pretty tough stretch there when the calendar year turned over, and he never really seemingly recovered at all. And so 23 points from the bench in 2 games is not good. No. It's not good at all. So that definitely has got to improve. But who's it going to come from? And really, that's going to have to start with Monty trusting his guys. Again, you got to trust them situationally. I understand that because these games have been too close to really just be like, oh, well, let me throw this guy out there for a stretch of 15 minutes because I feel like it. We get that. But there's certainly some adjustment that could be made, especially after you saw Landry get 38 minutes in 2 games. Like there's a couple minutes that are available for those dudes for sure.
Hussein 799 chat says leave Westbrook open always. DA or KD on Kawhi at all times.
It's funny because last night I was kind of fucking around, but DA stopped Kawhi towards the end of the game, and I was like, did we just accidentally run into something there? Like, now I don't think. Listen, a steady diet of DA against Kawhi, hell no, not even.
No,
not
you're
even
going to see him foul trouble.
That's not. But again, you're throwing different looks at him, and throwing DA at him every now and then isn't the worst idea because DA physically, because Kawhi isn't like the most explosive, quickest guy in the NBA by any stretch of the imagination. So DA can keep up with him physically. It's just the craftiness of Kawhi that'll get you if he starts to understand what you're trying to do to him over and over and over again. That's what you have to be careful of. So if you just throw DA at him a couple times here or there, cool. And I think that's actually not a bad idea.
I disagree on the leave Westbrook open part though, because we saw what if he's only going to take threes, sure. But the man can still drive to the basket.
Well,
get
that's
contact.
not what they're talking about when they say leave him open.
I mean, I get it, but you're
not just giving him dunks.
No, I get it, but you're taking the chance that he's going to be able to burn you if you're playing off him.
Let Russ cook. Let him cook from the outside, baby.
I mean, sure, if he's going to jack up threes, let him shoot like crazy, right? But I also, and Shane, you don't have to go back and find these, but a couple of people in the chat were giving me a hard time about the way I said burritos and margaritas. Apparently, I sounded very Midwest.
Burritos and margaritas.
I was unaware that I sounded Midwestern. I am not. I grew up here. I'm not Hispanic either. Chris Lopez says, is Espo Hispanic? He says nachos and burrito like he was born in Milwaukee. Not born in Milwaukee. Lived there for 3 months, but I was in my 20s. And then Gilbert says, Espo has a Midwestern accent, especially when he says the word half. I was unaware of this. I did not know. So the more you know, Gilbert.
The glass has been shattered. I didn't know that.
Gilbert, let Russ air fry. All right. There were there was a fun clip that came out of last night's post game. The reporters asked Devin Booker about what he did after game 1 to kind of get over the frustration. Here's what he had to say.
It's never a good feeling. But yeah, I just got on Call of Duty and blew some steam off.
All you do.
Yeah.
All you do is play Call of Duty.
Forget what Mike Conley said, man. We got to play. We got to play. It was funny. Mike was talking. He was like, yeah, we can't be playing Call of Duty. Carl walked in the back. He was like, hey, Mike, you getting on? You get home? That's our generation, man.
Chris.
You know what I love about that? That flies in the face of every fucking person for the last several years that has just been shitting on all these athletes and them playing video games. Oh my gosh. Do what you want to do on your personal time. I don't care.
No,
we don't care.
Especially like if you got to blow off steam, you got to find a way to clear your head. There's a lot worse things you could do than playing Call of Duty. And I get Chris Paul giving him a hard time. That's all they do. It's the very old man thing. He's, and I understand that because, Chris Paul's probably like, yeah, I played PlayStation and Sega. I don't understand Call of Duty. That's fine. I'm of that generation. But I understand playing video games to blow off steam. And I don't understand why it matters. Devin Booker can do whatever he wants. Read a book, play Call of Duty. I don't care if you crochet. As long as you come out and play like you played in game 2, doesn't matter.
How millennial of you there, Espo.
Like, well, what do we care?
Crochet.
Honestly, what do we care what Devin Booker does in his free time as long as he comes out and he plays like he did in the second half of that game?
And that was my thing. That's been my thing this entire time. It's like there's so many athletes that play video games. We literally saw Devin Booker play DA in the championship of the NBA 2K tournament during the pandemic. Like, it's okay. Like, just let them have that release. And just like somebody else said, Chris Lopez in the chat said, video games are a lot better than casinos and strip clubs. Talk to John Morant. Yeah, Like, hey, that's a healthy outlet for you to be able to do whatever you need to do and release some stress and some steam. We've seen that on social media so many times where, maybe your favorite team loses in a series or whatever, and then you replay that game on PlayStation 5 and you're up 100-0. Like, it's fine. Video games are irrelevant to performance. I'm just going to say that straight up.
I love that we celebrated Jordan because he went out all night and he drank and then he went and played the next day. And then we're like, oh, you can't play video games. You're playing video games? How dare we?
I don't think we celebrated Jordan.
Oh,
No, wait. Let me, I don't think we celebrated Jordan. We just thought that was fucking badass.
Which is celebrated. Dude played 36 holes of golf. Then he gambled all night and drank, and he was at practice the next morning. That's amazing. Devin Booker played 2 hours of Call of Duty. How dare that bastard?
It wasn't that he showed up to practice. He dropped 48 on your head after being on an all-night bender. That's how legendary Michael Jordan was.
My point exactly.
Legendary. There's difference there.
Yeah. If Devin Booker goes on like an 18-hour Call of Duty binge, wins a bunch, and then goes out and drops 70, just as impressive to me.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. No debate there.
Do what you want. We got another clip from our PHNX Coyotes show from earlier today. The CEO of the Coyotes, Xavier Gutierrez, was on.
Gutierrez.
I said it Midwestern. Gutierrez.
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez. Is that better? There you go. He was on with the PHNX Coyotes crew, and he had some interesting things to say about the Suns.
So it's not just us. It's the Diamondbacks and it's the Suns. The Suns contract is up. It'll be done as of the first round of the NBA playoffs. And so they are in negotiations, and I know that they are very much deep in negotiations. You obviously had a new ownership with the Phoenix Suns, and we want to congratulate Matt Ishbia publicly. I've done it on a couple of occasions, but we're excited for them. They've actually reached out to us and said that they really want to be good partners and good neighbors, which is great. And truth be told, hasn't necessarily been the case. Hasn't necessarily been the case historically, and so we applaud them.
So there's two interesting things in here. He talks about the Bally Sports issue, and the question obviously was originally about the Coyotes, but he mentions the Suns and the Diamondbacks. He says the Suns, their contract with Bally is up after this first round. So we're a handful of games away from their contract being up. With the uncertainty there, I imagine there's probably a change coming. So I find that interesting in what Xavier said. But then he talks about that Matt Ishbia has actually reached out to him and ownership saying, look, we want to be good partners in this town. And obviously, insinuated there is Sarver never did that. The disgraced former owner never reached out and didn't want to be like that. I love this because if all the teams are strong in this valley, everybody benefits from that. And the Suns and Coyotes being willing to have discussions, I love seeing that from the new ownership.
Just like the legendary Sam Cooke said, a change gonna come. Change gonna come. And I think it's for the better. I think one of the things that has always frustrated me is that I felt like each team has been on their own independent island. And when you're talking about trying to bring a community together and really trying to build like a quote unquote championship culture, the fan base has just as much to do with that as anybody else. But far too much. It's like we got Suns fans, and we have Cardinals fans, we have Coyotes fans, we have D-backs. Like we should all be in the same pot. Like it's because it's fun. Sports are fun. And so I like the fact that these owners are trying to collaborate and find new ways to be able to not only work together, but being able to find different ways to provide content to the consumer as much as possible. Selfish plug, like that's what we're trying to do. We basically are a regional sports network. We're a digital version of a regional sports network. What Bally's used to do, aka Fox Sports Arizona used to do, aka Fox Sports Net used to do,
aka ASPN way back back in the day.
Is they used to be out in the community. They used to show ASU and U of A games back before the Pac-12 network. But more importantly, they got you inside access to all these teams. It got you to know who these players were, some individual behind-the-scenes stuff. It was really cool. They showed high school games, all that good stuff, right? And then it all came to an end because of choices made.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they just stuck to Coyotes, D-backs, and Suns, and that was it. And that's all they focused on. And I don't think that was really for the better. It wasn't for the better. And now I would pull my hair out trying to figure out why are we doing it this way? Why can we not move the needle down the road and really expand ourselves a little bit more? And most of that is because of money. I think what we're doing here, what the Coyotes are trying to do with the Suns relationship, maybe at some point the D-backs or Cardinals will get into the fold. They're trying to find different ways to get across and get their content in front of more eyeballs, because ultimately that's what you need. That's what you want. That's what brings in the revenue, but also that's what builds up your fan base the most. When the games were free on UPN back in the day, you and I were born in that generation.
Yeah.
That's where we loved basketball. We didn't have to pay.
You didn't have cable either.
No,
right? Neither did I.
I had to use that shit on a fucking dial-up with the card in between, and had to turn the dial and shit.
I watched some games on a black and white TV, and it's not that I'm that old. It was just the only TV I could sneak into my room that was around the house.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and just think that if you don't have cable and you don't have a streaming access, then how many kids are missing out on the opportunity to be able to watch their favorite teams play and really grow up in that generation? And luckily, in this digital age, people can see the highlights, they can see the recaps on YouTube and stuff like that. But I just think that these guys are, I like Xavier Gutierrez and what he's trying to do. And what the mindset that him and Matt Ishbia are approaching this with. You need fresh eyes. You need fresh perspectives, and that's really refreshing.
Well, something else I like, too, is since they have an open dialogue, think about, we got the Final Four coming in late March, early April next year, right? If they work together and they work with scheduling, you could set up a week where there's major sports the entire week, where it's like that benefits everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Because all the eyes of the sports world are going to be here. You could set up Coyotes and Suns games every other day. You work with the Diamondbacks, and then you mix in some things. You could make this such a cool week going into that Final Four, just because teams are willing to work, talk ideas. Maybe it's joint ticket packages even at some point.
Yeah.
I love the idea of collaboration on that front, because with collaboration comes innovation, and that benefits all of us when there's new ideas and thoughts in the marketplace, especially with sports. You know, it's an area where things can move very slowly because, old school thinking. But when you work together, when you see teams collaborate, we could get something cool.
I don't want to besmirch Valley Sports Arizona. Obviously, I have a great relationship with a lot of the people there because I worked there before, prior to this. But I do think it's also a very good thing that there's more possibilities into who can get their hands on streaming these games or producing these games, because, listen, it opens up the pool. And when you have challengers, then that raises the level of everybody's production. And I think that's a good thing. Listen, like every single day, it feels like there's a new Suns podcast out there. Like, and you and I not 1 second do we ever sit there and be like, oh my God, that's a threat. No, it's another opportunity for us to try to raise our game and give everybody what they want. Because sometimes you see things through one single lens and you don't realize you're completely missing this. And when somebody else comes to the game and they are bringing that, and you see the shift, it makes you pay attention. And so you got to constantly evolve. And that's the thing about television and radio and newspapers. They have not been able to evolve and really adjust with the times. And that's why outlets like us exist. Yeah. Period.
Well, and I love the fact that there's so many opportunities. You bring up other podcasts. We fill 1 hour in a day. But there's so many, the fans crave so much of this that they deserve to be able to get on their hands wherever, on whatever content they can out there. And I love that there is so much of it, because when we were growing up, you had Fast Break magazine that came out once a month. You had the newspaper, and you had whatever game was on television that you could watch, and that was about it.
And that's
So,
also why we bring on other podcasts to
Yeah.
our shows. We've had the Valley Voices. It's because we love the fact that everybody has the same affinity for the Suns as we do. We don't give a fuck about what what kind of numbers they're pulling down or we're pulling down. It's not a contest. I don't give a shit. I want everybody to thrive. So
yeah,
that's what we do.
We want to do our best. We want them to as well. That's the end of this one. Again, tomorrow, BetMGM Sportsbook out at State Farm Stadium. We'll be out there at 6. It's a 7:30 game, so pregame will be at 7 out there live. You can join us, watch the game, enjoy the drink specials. We highly recommend it. We look forward to seeing you out there. It's going to be interesting to see who takes control of this series tomorrow night.
Come holler at your boy and we'll do shots together.
Maybe I'll do it with you too. I mean, we got a
won't.
long night
He
out
won't.
there. Not maybe if it's early enough in the night. I mean, I got a 4-hour drive
See
back
what
to
I
New
mean?
Mexico.
I got the same
halfway.
drive.
That's true. We do have the same drive. He is Saul Bookman. Follow him at Saul_Bookman. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me at Espo. And remember,
Basically, before you say that, basically what you just said is I'm the Devin Booker of taking shots, and you're the Chris Paul.
what? I'm old and I only take mid-range ones. I miss them sometimes. I don't get it. Just remember, I don't understand Saul's jokes and references sometimes because I'm from the Midwest and what do I know? Ahoy, hoy.
Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like Dan G, no plan B. Always on the job, my team move like the mob. Turn the beat on, I throw it down like DA on the live. Best combo since KJ, Marley, and Charles. If you squad, just sitting on the chat, get involved. Rhymes say it's got.